And I reached up and snapped the handcuffs on his hand and started to bring his arm back, and he just flexed. And I could feel his strength. And I'm like, uh-oh. um, and he turned the other way, and Thunder was sitting right there looking up at him. And Thunder just raised his lip and growled.
Len Humphries has served as Fremont County Sheriff for 4 terms, and he announced he is not seeking reelection. Running in his stead are Bart Quayle and Mark Bayerhoff, but we're glad to be able to talk to Len Humphries today about his law enforcement career and his time as sheriff. Len, appreciate you taking a few minutes with me this morning.
No, you bet. Good to talk to you.
So let's start with that bit of news. Like I mentioned, 4 terms. Why have you decided not to seek reelection?
Well, you know, um, it's time to retire, and I'm looking forward to doing that.
Any fun plans for your retirement?
We do have some plans. We have 5 kids that are scattered across the country, and we're going to spend time visiting with them. Um, Photography is one of my passions, and I look forward to spending more time to take pictures of things that are beautiful.
Oh, I
Mostly,
did.
mostly sceneries and mountains and rivers and streams and things like that.
Well, how'd you get into photography? How long have you been doing that?
Oh goodness. I bought my first camera when I was 19. That was a Canon FTB.
Oh, okay.
We live in a beautiful area. So many things to take pictures of.
For sure, yeah. Well, so as you look back on 16 years as sheriff, for you, what's been the highlight for you?
The highlight is working with people here at the sheriff's office and serving the community. We have great support here in Fremont County for the sheriff's office and for law enforcement. And I had great employees that have done excellent jobs. I'll miss working with them, but the time to step aside and let somebody move in is here now. So
What's been the most memorable case? I know the Chad and Lori Daybell case, which is probably one of them, but I won't put words in your mouth.
that certainly is the memorable case for the last 16 years. It's the only murder cases that we've had while I was sheriff. We had other murder cases prior to being sheriff, from when I first got into law enforcement, goodness sakes. We had a couple of murders in Ashton, had one in Island Park. We've had some over the years, but nothing quite like the Daybell case.
So you've been sheriff 16 years, but how long have you been in law enforcement?
Well, I started as a deputy, a reserve deputy, volunteer in 1982. And then in 1988, went to work full time for the sheriff at the time was Terry Thompson. And worked for Terry, left law enforcement for a few years, came back, worked for Terry again, worked for Tom Stegelmeyer, left law enforcement when Tom lost the election. And then 4 years later, I ran for sheriff.
Going back, to 1982, 1988, what was the reason that you decided to go into law enforcement?
I enjoyed it. I had a friend that invited me to join the Sheriff's Reserves. I thought that would be an opportunity to serve the community. And I enjoyed the things that I learned. I enjoyed working with the people here, and it's been a lifelong career.
In those early days, so you started out as was it a patrol deputy? Or what was your role?
In 1988, I was a patrol deputy, yes. There weren't very many of us then. Um, and we had multiple tasks, multiple jobs. I was a crime scene photographer for the county. I had my own dark room, processed all of our film, pictures, things like that. And that was very interesting work. Um, Patrol deputy, search and rescue, everybody helped with search and rescue. We have a fabulous search and rescue organization here in Fremont County. They provide a tremendous service for us. But, as deputies, we would also help them out.
So you talked about you knew someone who thought you might be a good fit for the role, but prior to that, had you even considered law enforcement?
No, I had not.
And in fact, did you even have any idea what you wanted to do?
Well, actually, I at the time was an HVAC control specialist and worked at Rick's College in physical plant and maintained the building automation systems.
Oh,
Um, my educational background is in electronics.
oh, wow. So that was a complete shift in career paths.
Yes, it was. I enjoyed electronics, and in fact, still I'm an amateur radio operator and do a lot of things. I'm a member of the Public Safety Communications Commission for the state of Idaho. I represent the sheriffs on that council, and that's the organization that monitors and takes care of and provides grants for 911 systems across the state.
In those days when you were a deputy, any cases that stand out there as particularly memorable or unique?
Um, yeah, there's a lot of them that have come through the years. I remember once I got called to a bar fight at Pond's Lodge, and there was an Australian lumberjack who was up in Island Park working from Australia, and he was drunk and had broken a guy's leg at the bar, and I responded, and Tom Mattingly was the police chief in Ashton. He responded with me to back me up. And Tom had a patrol dog. Thunder was the dog's name. It was a Rottweiler. Anyway, get to the bar, and the guy was not feeling any pain, but he had been worked over by the patrons before we arrived. Uh, he'd busted their buddy's leg, and so they took their revenge. I was the only county officer on at the time, and I was in St. Anthony when the call came in, so it took a few minutes to get to Pond's Lodge. But we got up there, and the guy was sitting at the bar with his head on his arms, and I reached up and snapped the handcuffs on his hand and started to bring his arm back, and he just flexed, and I could feel his strength, and I'm like, uh-oh. um, and he turned the other way, and Thunder was sitting right there looking up at him, and Thunder just raised his lip and growled, and the guy just melted.
Oh, how has law enforcement changed over the years?
So technology is a big change. When I first started in law enforcement here, the sheriff's office had three telephone lines. We had one radio channel that we used. We had we didn't have enhanced 911. We'd just get the phone call and the phone number. We got enhanced 911 in 1993, 94. The winter of 93, 94 is when we finally got the ability to see where calls were coming from. And that technology has mushroomed and blossomed. Today, probably 97, 98% of our 911 calls come off of cell phones, which when I started in law enforcement, we didn't have cell phones. And as cell phones became more popular, that became a real challenge to figure out where those calls are coming from. Today, that technology is in place, works very well. If people that are stranded or lost in the mountains in Island Park, for example, if they can call 911, takes about 30 seconds and we know where they're at. And that's if they have cell coverage. There's still some dead spots, but not too many.
Yeah.
So technology is a huge change. The number of people that we deal with is also a very large change. And along with the numbers of people increasing, we are seeing certainly increases in the types of people that we have interactions with. Idaho for many years kind of lived in its own little bubble. And and it was a very well kept secret, I guess I would say, that as far as our lifestyle here and the communities and where we are at, and those things have changed now. And we're becoming more like the bigger cities and the more populous areas. We're seeing the same problems coming through. Every call that comes in is logged in the computers, every telephone conversation, every radio conversation, traffic. In a month's time, we will have thousands of activities that are logged. And some of those activities are nothing more than an officer, calling in a registration or a driver's license or checking out to get fuel. But they're all activities that get logged, and we're busy.
Yeah, so you mentioned one dispatcher when you first started. So now I'm curious, when you first started, how big was the sheriff's office staff versus now? How big is it?
So let's see. Today we have 45 employees here at the sheriff's office. Well, we're down a couple, three we're trying to fill. But when I first started in 88 and 82 as a volunteer, the sheriff's office probably was right about, let's see, 5, 10, less than 20 employees.
Wow, it's more than doubled in the last
Yeah.
30 plus years.
Yeah.
So, in the remaining months that you're in office, is there anything that you're hoping to accomplish?
Well, we are just getting ready to bring our jail expansion online. That's coming off probably the first part of April. We'll be using that facility. The day-to-day work is continuing. We've got 2 new officers that were hired a couple of weeks ago. They're in the field training program now. So we'll get those through FTO, through post, and get them through where they can be working on their own. And we'll have a couple more openings that we need to fill yet. It's just we can't train that many people at the same time. So it'll be probably close to the end of the year before we get fully staffed again.
What's been the most rewarding thing for you?
Most rewarding. I would say seeing new employees come on board, seeing them learn about Fremont County, seeing them interact with the public, with the schools, with the kids in the schools, and become confident in their abilities and their skills to work in law enforcement in Fremont County.
Anything you want to say to voters and people in your county?
Well, I do want to say thank you for the support for all of the years. We have good people that are running for office coming up. Would encourage people to get behind them and help them. We have officers that are very dedicated and do a tremendous job working, providing services for both the citizens and the visitors to Fremont County. And it'll be nice just to kind of sit back and watch from now on, not have to worry about a lot of things that go on day to day.
Whoever your predecessor might be, there's 2 people running. Any words of advice or thoughts to them?
Well, so I think that the best thing to do is to meet the community and let the community get to know them and who they are and what they stand for.
Well, Sheriff Humphries, I appreciate your time. It's been great chatting with you. Anything else you want to add as we wrap this up?
I'm looking forward to taking more pictures and spending time with my grandkids. So,
But you'll still be around, right? You'll still be in Fremont County. You're not planning to
yes,
move away or anything.
not planning to move away. I may spend a couple of months in the winter when it's cold, where it's a little warmer, but
Right, right. But
summers in Fremont County are very nice.
yes, oh yes, lots of things to do there.
Lots to do, and even on a hot day, it cools off at night and you can sleep really well.
Yes, you can. All right. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.